and welcome to the June 13, 2017 fiscal year 2018 annual operating budget public hearing of the Prince George's County Board of Education. I would like to ask everyone to turn off any wireless communication devices as they interfere with the microphones and taping of the meeting. Thank you. Mrs. Berkeley, please call the roll.
Good evening, board members. Ms. Ahmed,
Here.
Dr. Anderson, Mr. Blocker,
Glad to be here.
Ms. Boston,
Present.
Mr. Burrows, Ms. Eubanks, Ms. Hernandez,
Present.
Mr. Murray, Ms. Quinteros-Grady,
Present.
Ms. Roach, Mr. Valentine.
Present.
Thank you, but I need to hear your daddy say it. Mr. Valentine.
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Wallace. Miss Williams. Mr. Wallace. Miss Williams. Gotcha. Dr. Eubanks. All right. Thank you.
The Board of Education has convened this evening for the sole purpose of receiving public commentary on the fiscal year 2018 budget. The CEO's proposed FY2018 operating budget recommendation of a little over $2 billion represents a 6.4% increase over the fiscal year 2017 operating budget of $1.9 billion. Openness, transparency, and inclusiveness are essential to the work that we do. Our school district cannot begin the work of creating a sustainable budget without including you in the process of development. Your presence and input tonight are essential, as your insight will guide the creation of our future operating budget. Your opinions, your insights, and your areas of expertise are needed as we look together to create a budget that supports key priorities such as funding academic excellence, high-performing workforce, and safe and supportive environments. The Board of Education adopted its budget at the February 23, 2017 board meeting. The recommended budget was then forwarded to County Executive Mr. Rashawn Baker, who developed his proposed county budget and presented it to the County Council in March of 2017. The County Council then adopted a budget which includes school system funding designated by category, and it went to the state legislature in April of 2017. The Board of Education is now in the process of reconciling with the county approved budget, and it will be adopted at the meeting on June the 22nd, 2017. So the next item on our agenda is actually, we go straight to public comment. But before I do that, I would like to turn the meeting over to Dr. Wesley Watts, who is here representing the CEO.
Boston. This evening, Dr. Maxwell is not able to be with us. He's representing the Maryland superintendents at the convening of the College Board. I just wanted folks to be aware before we begin. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. West, Dr. West. So we actually had 30 speakers here tonight. We will hear from our registered speakers for public comment who will speak for 3 minutes in a public comment forum where the board will listen to their comments. Our first registered speaker for this evening is Ms. Amir El Tarif. If I pronounced that incorrectly, please correct me. Second grader from Overlook Spanish Immersion. Abdul El Tarif. Teresa Dudley. Thank you.
I think your mic's on.
Okay, start the timer again. I want my 12 seconds of glory back. Thank you, my love. Last week I came before you and I discussed some of the issues that I have with the budget. And I say I mean we, PGCEA, because we're very concerned about the cuts that were placed on the budget by the county executive, and then how it was the other reconciliation efforts that were done in front of the county council. The things that bother us the most are the things that were the most important to PGCEA were the things that were cut out of the budget. And also, if we look at the survey that everybody's being asked to fill out on the budget, all of the priorities for PGCEA are at the bottom of the survey. So I'm just wondering, are we at the bottom of the heap as far as importance? And as underappreciated as educators are feeling right now, that didn't help things any. But I just want to highlight a couple of points out of the reconciliation budget that I think that you as the board have the opportunity to set a precedent here and take control of this budget. And don't let anybody tell you that it's not your budget. It's your budget. He makes a recommendation, the CEO makes a recommendation to you, and you have the obligation and you have the power to make this budget your own. So, we are currently in interest-based bargainings, and our educators need to understand and know that they are appreciated by being appropriately compensated. I just got a phone call yesterday from one of my dearest friends who has been an activist in PGCEA, and she said, I've been on administrative leave twice. I'm tired of this, and I'm leaving and I'm going to Charles County. What can I say to that? And she's been exonerated from it. It's just a feeling of low morale, and people would rather go someplace else and make less money. The other issue is the mentor-teacher program. Now, I hear all of the conversation about the literacy coaches, and we hear that, and we understand that literacy is important. But the most important thing for us, given the fact that over 50% of our educators have less than 6 years on the job, is to make sure that they have PAR mentor teachers. And instead of the literacy coaches, you could take that money and hire enough PAR mentor teachers for every new teacher that we hire in Prince George's County, like they do in surrounding jurisdictions, and then those teachers will have a reason to stay because they'll feel comfortable and confident. The other thing that I want to touch on is the National Board Certified Teachers, because we've got to keep them here in the system, and the cultural competency training. It's really important because all of our children come to school with different cultural aspects of how they deal with discipline, our teachers do, and that's a lot of the problem. And how do you deal with children who come from different cultural backgrounds in the classroom? I thank you and I ask you to please consider these items. It is really important to the educators in Prince George's County because we want to retain our quality teachers and we want to make sure that our children have quality teachers in front of them who are trained to handle the cultural dynamics of our school system.
Thank you, Ms. Utley. Sheena Washington. Dolores Millhouse.
Good evening. My name's Dolores Millhouse, and of course, I've been here a million times and over the past 5 years speaking and requesting, and I sometimes feel like I'm begging for funding to support language immersion and the expansion of language immersion. I'm at odds today because I stand before you because I don't want to feel like I have to choose between the safety of my child, between rigorous programs, between a school system that I'm saying I want language immersion, but that means I want to not put money and funding into providing raises for teachers. But I have to stand for something today, and today I'm standing in the gap for my child because he couldn't be here. And one of the questions that he asked me was, what would happen if I can't continue my program? Do they know what it would feel like not to learn another language? And I was just like, they may or they may not. And what that said to me is, this is his normal. His normal is learning 2 languages. His normal is when I'm prepping him to speak, he is practicing to do it in Spanish, but then he can't even convert very easily to English because he's becoming very comfortable in Spanish. But when it comes to his literacy, when he has to read in both languages, he has surpassed, he's going into the 2nd grade. He is on a 4th grade reading level at this time because of what's happening in the language immersion programs. So I continue to think about what we said 5 years ago and what we were offering to the school system. And I just want to quote a couple of things. As the American Association of School Administration says, education is the best investment we can make, one that pays off in countless dividends for us, for our children, for our society. If we hope to maintain or improve the quality of life in our communities, attract new industries, and continue to prosper as a nation, as a nation, we have to continue to produce top-notch schools. And so I'm asking you, as someone just came before me and said, this is you all's budget, I believe it's our budget. It's our school system, and I stand for my child. And I'm hoping that you all are standing for our children as well to continue to push for expansion of language immersion and not just focusing on what do we do to cuts, but be creative in what you do. Think about, what's happening in other school districts, but identify a way that we can keep these programs and not say that we're not offering this and that I have to go to another county to get it or pull my child out of the school system. So we don't want a mass exodus. We want people to continue to come and believe in this county just like I do. Because when we talk about going from good to great, the only way we go from good to great is we focus on the investment, which is our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrea Salem Lawson. Michelle Clark.
Good evening, board members. My name is Michelle Clark, as most of you already know. I'm here from Carolyn Boston's district, and I'm also here on behalf of PGCEA. I'm here to express to you, the board, how important it is to fund the priorities PGCEA has identified during our interest-based bargaining. These priorities include reinstating the Healthy Start breakfast. All of our children have to be fed if they're going to learn. The going forward with restorative practice pilot program, which I'm hoping is the way you guys are moving already. The cultural competency training that was recommended by the Task Force on Student Safety is very important because other recommendations by that task force put our employees off of work in droves on administrative leave this year. So if we don't get the appropriate training, I don't know how you can expect things to change and get better. Also, we would like to see additional PAR and mentor teachers to help our struggling educators, especially our new educators. And the one question I came up with when I was watching the budget proposal last week is there was a cost of doing business for the county. And my question is, why isn't a regular step increase for employees considered a cost of doing business? In the business world, they expect to give people raises every year on a general basis. Here, it doesn't happen. And it really seems to me that this should be considered a cost of doing business instead of being a set-aside for negotiations. The fact that the CEO doesn't seem to consider regular salary increases for employees to be a cost of doing business doesn't make sense. Money set aside for negotiations should be for cost of living percentage increases, not used in lieu of regular step increases. As a teacher in the county for the past 13 years, I've seen a number of our educators pushed out of the county for various reasons. The administrative leave that's been going on is happening this year. I know 2 second-year teachers in my building that have come to me and said they want to resign. There are other issues other than just the ones we pointed out, but really, it bothers me that we're losing staff to other higher paid districts in droves, and we need to have our compensation meet the demands of the market. Furthermore, the loyal teachers who have remained in the county during the lean fiscal years need to get caught up on their steps as they were told would happen as finances improved. We're currently 4 steps behind, including this year. Personally, my house was in foreclosure. I am just getting out via Chapter 13. That's how it affects your teachers.
Thank you. Byrne Jordan.
Hello, my name is Baron Jordan, and I want to thank the board for giving me a chance to speak today on the language immersion programs in Prince George's County. I'm a new faculty member at the University of Maryland. When I moved my family here to take the position, one of our biggest concerns was our children's education. We were moving from a top-ranked school district from out of state. Last year, when trying to find neighborhoods and a home, we looked into the different schools in the area and the rankings that were available online. We also looked more closely at various educational programs offered at different area schools. One of the things that influenced our decision to buy our home in College Park was a partial Chinese immersion program at Paint Branch Elementary School. We were excited that our children would have the opportunity to learn a language along with the rest of their education. I have 2 children in the partial immersion program now at Paint Branch Elementary. I'm amazed at what they've learned. My son in kindergarten reads his math homework in Mandarin and translates the story problems to English for me when I check his work from time to time. Because he knows Mandarin, he's also made friends with foreign students at the university. I also see this friendliness in their classes. It was an easy transition to Paint Branch Elementary School after our move. My children were befriended right away, which was something that was a bit more of a challenge in their old school. Perhaps the interactive nature of gaining proficiency in the language bonds students together and builds camaraderie. In summary, the language immersion and dual language programs in Prince George's County really distinguishes those schools in the county, raising their attraction for all school-conscious families. I want to thank the Board of Education for your support of my children's education. I want to give my son, oh, he's back here. You want to read your homework?
我有4个球，我给朋友1线球。我现在有2个球，我给朋友我给朋友几个球。
Would you translate in English for me?
I have 4 balls. I gave some balls to the friends. How many balls? I have 2 balls right now. How many balls did I give to the friends?
Thank you.
Patsy Connor.
Good evening. I am, of course, Patsy Connor. I'm a 38-year educator in Prince George's County. I'm a teacher of chemistry. I'm here to represent the voiceless at High Point, especially the parents who are not able to come before you. It takes resources to give children a decent education. Statistics show that a good education prevents young people from going to prison. Statistics also show that many of the people in prison never got a good education. It is my feeling that is echoed by other teachers that cut in the budget, particularly the restorative practice program, is the fastest way to get young people into the school to prison pipeline. As Jesse Jackson puts it, you could pay up front or you could pay behind, but you are going to pay. And there will be no debate about whether or not we have enough money to build the prison. High Point High School is a Title I priority high school and must improve the graduation rate to prevent further action from the state. However, there are many problems we must deal with. Late buses. Our students are 30 to 45 minutes late to school every day. When calculated, this is equivalent to losing an entire quarter of instructional time. It is disingenuous to expect an increase in High Point's graduation rate while we cut off the necessary resources to produce the results we desire. High Point High School is unfairly compared with other schools that do not have the same problems but have more resources. Consider the demography of High Point High School. 82% of High Point students are in the free and reduced meal program, in comparison to Eleanor Roosevelt, where it is only 2%. About 70% of our population is Hispanic, and 1,100 plus students are enrolled in ESOL, the largest ESOL population in the state of Maryland. These students typically have a 5-year graduation plan, thus setting us up for failure with expecting a 4-year plan. Cutting the school budget will be very bad across the board, but will be devastating to High Point and will again put us in a position of state intervention. Overcrowding at High Point. High Point is overcrowded with large classes and a lack of classroom space, with 140 plus teachers and only 107 classrooms. It is common knowledge that the larger the class, the poorer the learning experience. High Point is vastly overcrowded, while other high schools in the district are underpopulated.
Thank you.
Ask me.
Excuse me.
Okay.
If you would like to, you can always come back on the 22nd.
I sure will, and
Yes.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This is just a few things.
Thank you. Randy Martinson. James Allen Jr.
Good evening to the representatives representing Dr. Maxwell and the Board of Education. My name is James Allen Jr. I'm a proud parent of 2 Spanish immersion students at Overlook Spanish Immersion. Our youngest, Sydney, just finished kindergarten today, and our oldest, London, had just finished 2nd grade. Our kids and their classmates know more Spanish than me, and that's after 4 years of taking Spanish NIB at Suitland, in class of 94. Nonetheless, I'm here to encourage you to continue your support for the Language Immersion Program in Prince George's County Public Schools. As my wife and I considered schools for our kids 3 years ago, we were delighted to discover that the county was embarking on a Spanish language immersion option, and that we also had other options as well. I had always heard wonderful things about the French immersion program in the county. And I was sold when I came across a parent that shared with me how dynamic the French program was for his kids. What intrigued me about the story was that it challenged his kids at a young age, and it gave them confidence and aptitude to embrace more rigorous academic disciplines. His kids ended up doing well. One is enrolled here at the University of Maryland, and the other is finishing up a graduate program but in Wisconsin University. But they struggled to find a good school after their elementary ages. As I watched my kids, their fellow immersion classmates, and talked to other parents at the other immersion schools, we all share the same concern and fear. While the school system is providing our kids a dynamic opportunity in the immersion language program early in their academic journey, I am deeply concerned that we are developing prodigies without a clear path to harness and perfect their developing language skills. Please approve the expansion of the immersion program to include the $4.46 million in the budget. Let's give our young immersion students a program that gives them a clear path to success. Thank you.
Thank you. Jana Parker.
It's Jana. Okay. A week ago, I came before you and spoke to you about my journey as a Prince George's County student, resident, and teacher. And I emphasized compensation. During that time, one of the board members said something about how in his travels that most of the teachers leave because of support. And another board member emphatically made eye contact with me and shook her head yes. I thought that was interesting because while you emphasize support, you don't go into what the lack of support is or how the teachers are treated within the actual school system. So you can't say things like that without backing it up. And additionally, if you're talking about only a small pocket of teachers that you're dealing with, is not an adequate statement to imply that to the whole county. That didn't sit well with me. You can think about a recent son of Prince George's County from Suitland, Kevin Durant. And it's very interesting how his story almost mirrors that of our educators. He was in a hometown city that he loved, he gave his all to, and he continued to ask for support and compensation. And he didn't get it, so he had to leave. And when he went to the place that provided him with the support and compensation, he got the fulfillment of his life goals. Prince George's County educators are not even asking you for extra. We're asking you for what you promised us in the contract. And I'm trying to figure out how in March you could have gone in a closed session and vote for $450,000 worth of salary and compensation for a CEO, but yet you can't find $88 million to put us on our steps. On our steps that you promised us, and be not clear, or be clear, we're your constituents too, because I hear a lot of y'all talking about your constituents. We're your constituents too, and whether your wife is a first-year teacher or whether she's a seasoned teacher that just got her master's, she's still a teacher in this county, and when that freeze comes, it's gonna affect your household too. Don't wait until the freeze comes to your household to start caring about your constituents, because we've been here to every meeting asking you to just honor us. That's all we've been asking for. We ask that you put us on our steps, bring back the mentor teacher program, honor the National Board Certified Teachers Initiative, do the restorative practices, have the Healthy Start breakfast, and the cultural competency training. Don't wait to vote for us, because we didn't wait to vote for you.
Thank you. Tommy Mackley?
Good evening. My name is Tommy Makila. I am from Akakeek. First of all, thank you for hosting this hearing. Now is the time that the real budget decisions are being made. I have one major request for you. Please try to ensure that a maximum amount of funding goes to the classroom. At the end of the day, that is what really makes a difference. If you want a proxy for measuring how well you are doing in this regard, I suggest you keep an eye on what percentage of total expenditures come from the instructional salaries budget category. The reason I bring this up is that there is objective data out there indicating that, when compared to other school systems, we are not doing a very good job of getting our money into the classrooms. In particular, I want you to pay attention to the Washington Area Boards of Education Guide. I hope you have all seen this. The guide provides data for the metro area school systems. Two data points really concern me. Our large class sizes and the large size of our executive staff. I would also like to make a mention of a rather random, possibly related observation. I have gone through the proposed budget in detail, every page of it. One issue that really struck me was the very high number of secretaries and administrative assistants in the central office departments. This is not reflective of a modern organization. That is not how my organization works. That is not how most today's organizations work. I don't have all the answers, but we really need to find a way to get more of our money ending up in the classroom and to fund these programs that the people here are advocating for. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Hugh Weathers.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Hugh Weathers, Assistant Executive Director for ASAP Unit 2 and Unit 3. And I appear here tonight expressly to advocate for those employees of the school districts and certainly for those employees who are represented by ASASP. I find it incredible that this budget has again failed to fairly compensate the efforts of its employees through the highly touted success of the school system. Certainly with a new 4-year contract, the CEO expected, and I would guess was rewarded for his efforts. It is time to stop expecting that your employees can please wait until next year to get their fair access to the increased funding being given to this board's operating budget. And now, if you indulge me a little bit longer, I would wish to draw these issues to your attention. The school system student enrollment is now increasing. It's not increasing to the proportion to the increased per pupil cost. The per pupil cost seems to be supporting compensation for a bloated executive staff. One needs to examine the surrounding school districts to see just how out of line these number of executive positions really are. Unnecessarily expanded experimental programs are siphoning away dollars which could go towards increased employee salaries. Money spent on unnecessary placement of employees on leave with pay could have been used to give this union at least 2 to 3% increase in salaries. Many dollars are being spent on fluff and hype, extolling the smoke and mirror success of the CEO when these dollars can be used to direct towards employee salaries and compensation. Employee salaries and compensation have been left in the rearview mirror of the total compensation given this CEO. The gap between the CEO and compensation is now approximately 4 to 6 times that of the average employee. Prior gaps were somewhere between 2 to 3. Herein lies a significant problem of fairness and equity. Employee expectations rise while compensation stay the same, except for the CEO and his executive staff. Hard work is not translating to improved salaries or to increased benefits, nor to a fairer compensation package for employees. Employee salaries and compensations are being outdistanced by the reality of the greater Washington, D.C. area living costs. The retention of highly effective employees, both teachers, administrators, supervisors, and support staff must be given a highly significant compensation. Failure to act is tantamount. Failure to lead is tantamount, and fail to accept responsibility is very unacceptable. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Weathers, on behalf of the board, can you please let Ms. Reed know that the board
Yes, ma'am.
that the board wish her well and hope she hurry up and recover and get back to us as fast as possible, and that we love her.
I will let her know that, and I guarantee you if this is being recorded, she's watching it right now.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Jonathan Abraham.
Hi, good evening, members of the board. So something stood out to me. I'm actually, in terms of the budget priorities as we see them, one of the issues, I couldn't help but overhearing one of the parents talk about comparison between High Point and Roosevelt, and talking about the percentage of students on free lunch and reduced lunch programs because of means, and also the number of what they characterize as English as a second language student. In my conception, I think of that as English immersion students, especially if it's all the way at the high school. I'm thinking immediately, like, how do we get students that have come through the whole pipeline and they're still students of a second language? Maybe we should be trying different pathways, such as the immersion, and like putting more resources into that. If up to the high school level, we have more than 1,100 students at a school that I'm not sure what the grade at which they entered the system was, but that might bear more research to see how we can look at that. And the very next parent talked about a very positive experience in a Spanish immersion program, and they had also looked at French in Overlook, and they're seeking a continued pipeline as they get into middle and high school for their students. And I strongly support this kind of an idea. One of the main reasons is when we think of either English as a second language as our model or another language as being extra, I don't think of that as extra. I think of that, especially if we have students going all the way through high school without achieving proficiency in any language in reading and writing, then we definitely ought to be tweaking our method, revisiting how we're doing the model. And I think of it as a combination of whatever the other language is that the student is speaking natively, and a combination of that, whether that's Spanish or French, depending on whether you come from West Africa, and how that translates into success, and look to increase our achievement levels through that mechanism. The other thing that I'm thinking of is, how do we end up in this situation? In terms of the whole county's budget, I think we have a 4.5% increase to $3.7 billion for the full county budget, and still we're here talking about in a time of rising property values and in one of the best economic climates the country has seen in the last 8 years, we're still talking about cuts and problems with the budget. I'm very curious as to why that is the case. And that was a big question on my mind, because if we're not able to make the correct allocation of resources in the best of times, I'd hate to see how things look in the worst of times.
Thank you. Rosalind Rice Harris.
Good evening. I'm here to speak about the experience my child is having at Maya Angelou French Immersion School. My child is a rising first grader, and we too looked long and hard for the right school for our daughter, and we chose Maya Angelou because of its rich history and its rigorous academics. We are excited that the school has become an IB PYP World School and look forward to continuing that journey with PYP as well as MYP. So I'm speaking to you as both a parent as well as an educator that has launched PYP schools throughout the metropolitan DC area, an educator that champions both students with high needs and students within the elementary settings. And I am begging you to maintain and increase funding for our dual language immersion and specialty programs. These programs offer our students the best that public education can give them. It provides them a chance to engage in rigorous academics, to learn about different cultures and languages, as well as be able to become positive contributors of society. So I am looking for this board to work with their parents, with their constituents, to move the agenda forward to educate all of our children at high levels, because if that doesn't happen, as I've seen working in other jurisdictions, flight happens and you lose your taxpayers, you lose your high flyers, you lose your contributors that will change not just the culture of the county and the school district, but will also increase test scores. So with all of those things coming into play, just as other speakers have said before me, it would behoove the board to fund our programs and start with our youngest and build them up so that when they come into the middle schools and high schools, they'll be our top performers, and we will have a consistent reason to be proud of what goes on in Prince George's County Public Schools. I ask you to continue fully funding our programs, to keep our families and students within the county and within public schools, because we are all public school supporters, and we support every educator, from our paraprofessional to our principal to our board members, to do the right things for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Gina Bowler.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in the operating budget process. My name's Gina Bowler. I'm the proud parent of a kindergartner and a second grader who attend Overlook Spanish Immersion School in Temple Hills. Today I'm speaking on behalf of the Overlook Parent-Teacher Association in my role as chair of the Advocacy and Legislative Committee. I'm also speaking as a member and advocate of the broader Prince George's County Public Schools language immersion community, and many of them are here, and I would ask that they stand. Yes, yes, Spanish, French, and Chinese. Thank you. Thank you. I urge the Board of Education to approve the CEO's proposed operating budget for FTE and funding that support the expansion of existing language immersion programs, Spanish, French, and Chinese. The French immersion program has been very successful for well over 2 decades. The newcomer Spanish and Chinese immersion programs are off to an excellent start. Current and prospective families in these programs want to know what Prince George's County Public Schools leadership envisions for the future of these programs and how we can give our input and feedback over the long run. We don't want to be left hanging, wondering, where do we go from here? What happens after our students graduate from language immersion elementary schools? How do we maintain academic excellence and advance multilingual skills at the middle and high school levels? Approval of the proposed funding for expansion of the existing language immersion programs will be assigned to families that our leadership is interested in maintaining the integrity of the specialty program offerings, which of course is appropriate given our diverse students and large county. It's also a sign that our leadership understands that academic excellence and advanced multilingual skills have a rightful place in delivery of a world-class education. And our proximity to the nation's capital and intense academic, career, and business competition in our region, country, and world underscores this, the importance of the expanded language immersion program offerings in our county. Again, thank you for the opportunity to give input this evening, and I urge you to support the CEO's proposed budget for expansion of existing language immersion programs. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerome Dances. Tina McRae Phelps.
Good evening. My name is Tina McRae Phelps, and I'm the president of Maya Angelou French Immersion, PTSA. I speak to you as a proud parent and on behalf of 300 families and over 400 children. Education is the cornerstone of the foundation that we need to lay for our young scholars as they make their way into this world. To have conversations about proposed budget cuts in education speaks negatively to the value we place on education and accordingly the value that our children see in obtaining a quality education. The needs across the schools operating within Prince George's County are vast. To meet these needs, these challenges, funding education at the highest level, not incrementally, and definitely not at the after lower priorities is paramount. Optimal funding in our education system needs to not only include the books and other materials that our scholars need at their disposal, but also in ensuring that we can obtain and retain the highest caliber and quality of teachers, administrators, and support staff. I often reflect on the county's mottos, great by choice or good to great. In this reflection, I often ponder that this choice needs to be made at every level and in every conversation with respect to ensuring high priority in educational funding. Our county must choose our children to be great. Our county must choose to be competitive in the workforce to obtain and retain the best of the best in teachers and administrators. Our county must choose the path that we set forward for our children's future. Our county must choose to fund much-needed improvements in our public school building facilities. Our county must choose to invest in technology that's going to take our kids through this 21st century and beyond. And we must put a stake in the ground that we're going to be competitive with any of these other states that we're seeing that are appearing in these national rankings as well as internationally. I was disappointed to see the recent survey that went out regarding the budget reconciliation process, particularly with the question about whether or not it's a high or low priority to retain or continue funding our immersion programs. This was a central focus of CEO Maxwell's earlier video this year. So it was very disheartening, it's very disconcerting that we're even having this conversation. It should not even be on the table. We've heard from parents here tonight. I'm here as a proud parent about the value of immersion in a child's life. It provides opportunities that we don't even see in other counties across the state as well as in other states. So why would we take that fundamental choice and that option away from kids when it can help them as they soar and they reach for higher pursuits in their education and beyond? In no other county can we say that we're graduating kids with international baccalaureate certificates, with seals of biliteracy, that we're giving them options for advanced placements in colleges and priority. So I urge you just to ensure that the funding is retained for immersion programs, and I don't think it's an all or nothing choice.
Thank you. Tawana Thomas.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tawana Thomas. I am a proud parent and the PTSA Vice President at Maya Angelou French Immersion, proud parent of a rising 7th grade scholar at Maya Angelou International Baccalaureate World School. I'm here to say we need to fully fund the immersion programs within PG County. We as a county have decided to provide top-notch education and an immersion into the French language for our young scholars. We need to ensure the commitment made to our scholars is kept by fully funding the current bilingual programs we have established in this county. Fully funding this program will not only benefit our young scholars, but also the communities in which they live. These children bring back a new language and an understanding to their home community and share that with other young scholars, their parents, and their communities at large. An immersion program has many benefits for our young scholars. This does include a new language, new phonics, new sentence structure. They also get exposed to different cultures through learning, through experience, and self-discovery. These benefits make the immersion program within the county more than a bang for its buck. It's an entry point for our scholars into and onto the world stage. This opening has been afforded to them, and they should be kept in the county. We shouldn't be looking to cut funding in this area, but how we can creatively use the funds to make the current programs better. Our young scholars deserve to have all of the enrichment promised on day one delivered to them through the entirety of their academic careers in Prince George's County. Are we truly committed to doing the best we can for our scholars? At Maya Angelou French Immersion International Baccalaureate World School, we are very committed. Our scholars are the best in the county, and we know it. We want to give them everything that this program has to offer. This includes immersion trips to Canada. We expose our children to Europe. We culturally expose them to different teachers from different parts of the world. We give them a world view through our IB and PYP program. The county has made a commitment to our scholars, parents, and community. Cutting any funding for the immersion programs would not be holding up to this commitment. Is that what we want to teach our scholars? Promise one thing and then deliver something else? This isn't bait and switch. This is our young scholars' future. Our future as a county and our future as a state lies within our young scholars. I challenge you to do what's right. Don't cut our funding. Be creative and find ways to stretch the dollars that we have. Find ways to make these young scholars the best in our state. The Maya Angelou French Immersion IB World Program produces some of the best and brightest in this community, as well as the other immersion programs that we have expanded to in this community. They're producing the best and the brightest. We saw one earlier. They're counting on you all to uphold your end of the bargain. They didn't ask for this. You guys offered it and we took it. So do your part.
Great, thank you. Kent Roberson.
Hello, Kent Roberson here, and I've been here before, so I'm gonna be light with it and just hit all the points. First, I'm representing John Hanson Montessori. I guess I'm the only one besides Mr. Valentine here from there, as well as Maya Angelou French Immersion, as you've heard before. They've kind of hit the points, so I'm gonna be a little around the block with it, as they say. And you've heard me before speak about the budget and our priorities. We, of course, back the teachers, but there was an issue with communication. First off, I hear a lot of parents, not just those in my school, just now received notice about this meeting around 2 o'clock. So the openness that Ms. Boston was talking about and transparency, it kind of wasn't there. I don't know who sends out the emails, but that's something that needs to be looked at because we weren't aware of that. And it goes to communication because my son is I have two sons, one at Maya Angelou, one at John Hanson. Well, John Hanson just received a new principal. We didn't receive notification until Friday, and she started on Monday. So that goes to the communication lack thereof. And then the fact is, it would be funny if that was just a one-off, but then the same principal that was at my son's school at Maya Angelou is now at John Hanson, and they said they didn't have a qualified candidate one week, then the next week he's put in place. Mr. Valentine, you probably saw the email from the PTSA, how they said that the administration lied to them, which I wouldn't use those words, but that was the president's words. And it's kind of off-putting to say that, but the fact is there was lack of communication. So we want to make sure that we're transparent with our parents so that they're aware of what's going on. Because it's one thing, you know, for a child to be put in that situation where they're all of a sudden put in a place where you have a whole new leadership towards the end of the school year. Secondly, just to bring this to mind, that the College Park School, we just want to make sure that that is open to the entire county and not just those in the North County. For those that are aware of the school that's at the University of Maryland, their program that they have there. As well as we understand that there's a 4.6% increase that Ms. Boston said at the beginning of the meeting for the budget, which is of course more money than we had from last year. So we of course support the fact that our teachers will receive pay increases. And I bring this back up again, I brought it up last time, that a cost of living is not a step increase. We want to be very clear that the cost of living that they received this year is not the same as the step increase that they should receive because of their due diligence in doing their work that they do every year. Lastly, I think that was it. Oh, and I don't want you to think that just because you put money into teachers' accounts, you cannot still support immersion programs, because when you put money into the school, that also includes the teachers. When you put money into the immersion program, that includes the teachers. It's not a one-off separate thing, because you can't have people who say that you can become anything you want to be, and you can, you know, get an education, and you can make it big, and you can make it rich, but yet they're living in poor situations. And it's kind of tongue-in-cheek when you say something like that. Thank you for your time. I yield the balance of my time.
Thank you. Erica Weber. I'm sorry, Erica Webster. Darcy Scott.
Good evening. As my colleagues have said, the link between teacher pay and teacher retention is not a theoretical link. At my school, we have lost teachers who live near Baltimore because that's where they could afford to live, and once they live there, then why not teach where they live? An old student of mine came back to visit after school today, which was terrific, and he commented that we had a lot of new teachers, and he was right. The problem of teacher retention isn't theoretical because rents and commutes aren't theoretical. I wish they were. Out of the 9 years I have already finished with this county, I have only received a step for half of them. At this rate, in my 30th year, when I'm supposed to be eligible to retire, I'll be at step 15, and I wouldn't reach step 20 until I've been teaching 40 years if this rate continues. Retirement savings accounts aren't theoretical either. Unfortunately, my experience in this county has proved that a teacher is only on step the day they're hired, and that describes an unreliable place to work. The county council has made your job hard for you by not fully funding the budget that was requested, and I'll be taking that up with them at the ballot box next year, assuming I can afford to stay here. But it's your job to prioritize the budget, and I ask that you prioritize retaining experienced quality teachers who are already 4 steps behind. Thank you.
Thank you. Belinda Queen.
Okay. Good evening to all the board members.
let's see, my first request is, with the budget, is that Welcome Hill Middle School has been requesting and benches and bleachers, and I don't know if the requests have been put to you guys, so I wanted to say it. It's a shame that now, and going into the 21st century, we have a middle school where the kids, when they go outside, they're sitting on the grass or sitting on the ground. And in 21st century, these kids need some type of benches or bleachers, and it's nothing at that school. So as I really want to bring that up to your attention, because all schools deserve better. So as I go into my speech real quick, I want to remind you all that the school board, in preparing this budget, is charged to look out for the students, for all students and every student. The budget: every school should be equipped with qualified, well-paid, and satisfied teachers. The budget: every student equipped with all the tools and technology they need to succeed, along with qualified and happy bus drivers and well-compensated teachers. The budget: programs that are diverse for all students, depending on their learning curves. The budget: every school should have a safe environment, secured, and a place that every student is not only feel proud to attend, but they can't wait to go. The budget: cut the fat from the top. Lower the salaries of overpaid administrators, the CEO, the deputy superintendents, the decision makers, and pay our real educators, our teachers. Fix and remove these schools that have mold and mildew. Again, the budget. In closing, whereas the community has lost trust in the board and the school system, I respectfully request that you work with the unions, the PTAs, the PTSAs, the community, so that our children, our hope, our future will be great in Prince George's County. I strongly believe that if we invest now, then we won't have to pay later. As I remind you that the vision is that every child has the same opportunity and hopes that all children deserve. No schools for certain kids, like college park education. The budget: stop these unnecessary lawsuits and fairly support and supply the needs of every student, teacher, bus driver of Prince George's County. That's the budget we need in this county. Thank you.
Thank you. Sally Smith.
Good evening. I'm from the Howard B. Owens Science Center. I am one of your teachers for 24 years. I love teaching. I love teaching the students. I love working with the community. I love working with the parents. And when I see that young man over there, Mr. Valentine, the young one in the chair, if we asked him what would be the priority of the budget, I bet you he would say, I want stuff in my classroom. I want my teacher happy. I want all my friends to have stuff. I want school to be cutting edge, like my technology at home. We need resources. When you look at instructional funding, it shouldn't be the smallest thing. The resources have to get to the classroom, and the resources also, it's time to get to the teachers. I know you weren't here when I began my teaching career. I was frozen for 5 years coming. These steps are real. I'm getting old, older than a lot of you. I still love teaching, but I'm finding that, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to retire because I'm not going to be able to afford it. It's not 1 year's salary when you don't give a step, or 2 years' salary. It impacts that salary that we stay at. That's our retirement. And I'm looking at mine going, where am I going to retire? What am I going to do? The other thing, today is the last day of school. I came down here because it's important. What should we fund? A, kids have no breakfast. Kids have no breakfast. What should get funded? Kids should have breakfast. Why? They're hungry. What should get funded? The children's classroom and the resources. Why? Because we can't have them have 21st century skills and jobs that are all over this county unless they have these resources. Do you want to learn hands-on? Yeah. Do you want to learn computer science? Yeah. There were 19,000 jobs in Maryland there were only 2,000 graduates in computer science, and only 20% of them were women. A mandate's coming down from the state, robotics, computer science. It's expensive. We need the resources to get to the classroom. I love what I do. What I'm seeing year after year is that the instructional resources are not getting down to the classroom. We need resources to teach. The kids need it. Compensation. It's time. You weren't here, but promises have been made to us year after year. During the budget county council cuts year after year, we understood. We still taught. We still gave you everything. We still do. It's time for the teachers to get their steps. It's time to keep the promises. If you look back and see what was promised and what was given, it has not been honored. Please value us. Please keep the promise of Prince George's County. I thank you.
Thank you. Darnell Barnett.
Good evening, Prince George's County Board of Education. My name is Darnell Barnett. I'm a teacher at North Fortsville Elementary School. I've been teaching for Prince George's County Public Schools for 16 years, and I'm very disappointed that the Restorative Practice Initiative is being cut. This year has been a challenge for me, as I had students in my class that had behavior issues. These students in my class have been in turn suspended numerous times from administration. However, their inappropriate behavior actions have not improved. I received an effective overall rating from my principal. However, I feel that I could have done more for these students if I had been engaged in restorative practices workshops this school year. I thank Prince George's County Education Association for taking the time to have restorative summer workshops. This will improve my classroom management skills and help students who have very challenging classroom behaviors. As a highly qualified certified teacher, I'm asking you to please reconsider fully funding the restorative practice program for our teachers and students in Prince George's County Public Schools. It's unacceptable that we had over 800 teachers on administrative leave because of classroom behaviors. This has caused me headaches in that I couldn't get any substitute teachers after putting in my sick, personal, and professional leave 1 week in advance. Please fully fund restorative practices so that our students can be held accountable and our teachers can finally teach. And I know that the 2008 financial crisis has had a huge impact on the tax revenue. However, I feel that all of us here, including the board members of Prince George's County Public Schools, we need to demand the banks and tell the banks that if they're going to foreclose on us, they have to pay the property taxes. It is unacceptable that they are foreclosing on us left and right every single week, and yet the banks, when they foreclose on us, they declare it as a loss. That's unacceptable. It's having a huge impact on our school system. We have to say to the banks, if you're going to foreclose on us, then you have to pay your fair share of taxes, because it is unacceptable. It is having a huge impact on our school systems and on us as a county. So I thank you very much for your time, and I'm so glad that I'm on summer break, but this is very, very important. They need to pay their fair share of taxes. It is unacceptable for them to foreclose on us and then say, oh, sorry, we're just going to declare our taxes a loss. That's unacceptable. And I apologize for this. It's not part of my statement, but it's time for a resource-based economy. This monetary system based on economic privilege has to go. I recommend that you watch the movie Zeitgeist, Zeitgeist of Denim, and Zeitgeist Moving Forward by Peter Joseph. And it's an excellent 3 movies. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Yeah. This now concludes the June 13, 2017 fiscal year 2018 operating budget public hearing. We'd appreciate everyone who came out tonight to give the board their comments. Excuse me, you have somebody that was on the list that didn't get a chance to speak? I'm sorry? Yes, you do. Can you step up, please? Is this Amir?
Amir's here.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you.
So if Amir can speak, and then Abdul.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Buenas noches, miembros del Consejo Escolar. Mi nombre es Amira Taif y yo soy estudiante en el programa de inmersión de español de Overlook Elementary School en Temple Hills, Maryland. Mi escuela necesita su apoyo para continuar este programa maravilloso de inmersión este año escolar. Yo estuve en el honor roll todo el año. Mis maestras y el programa me ayudaron a ser el mejor estudiante en español y inglés. Por favor, dar los fondos que necesita mi escuela, mis compañeros de clase y mis maestras para que todos podamos continuar alcanzando nuestras metas y soñarán en grande. Good evening, school board members. My name is Amir Taif, and I attend Overlook Spanish Immersion Elementary School in Temple Hills, Maryland. My school needs your support to continue this great immersion program. This school year I was on the honor roll all year long. My teachers and this program have helped me be the best student I could be in both Spanish and English. Please provide the funds my school, my classmates, and my teachers all need so that we can all continue to meet our goals and dream big. Thank you.
And with the remaining time, his little sister has a few words to say as well. She also attends. Go ahead, sweetheart.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Nadia El Tayef. Yo soy la hermana pequeña de Amir. Este año, mi primer año en Overlook, yo aprender a leer y escribir en español. Ahora puede leer en inglés al nivel de segundo grado. Por favor, darnos los fondos que necesita mi escuela. Good evening, my name is Nadia Otayaf.
Excuse me. Is there a step? We would love to see her beautiful face. Is there a step
There is
that
no step, unfortunately, here, but is there a step in here?
used to be one down there? They must have moved it.
No, there isn't one here. And do one of these mics work, or
Yeah, bring her up to.
how about this mic? Does
Sure.
that mic work, man? Okay, come over here now.
We want to be able to see her. There you go.
Okay. Good evening, my name is Nadia Altayaf, and I am Mir's little sister. This year, my first at Overlook, I learned to read and write in Spanish. Now I am reading English at the second grade level. Please provide the funds my school needs.
And if I may have 3 minutes, that's all right. Thank you very much. Good evening, school board members and executives. I'd like to talk to you briefly on the benefits of the PG County School Language Immersion Program. As a parent of a kindergarten, where you met Nadia, and a second grader, Amir, both attending full-day Spanish immersion program at Overlook Elementary, I've seen how they've benefited firsthand, academically and personally interacting with the outstanding teachers and staff at the school. Many others here earlier have stated many things that I've documented here. I want to just a couple of things. One of the big key factors of my wife and I decision to move from District of Columbia, where we were living, to PG County was what options do we have for school systems? And that was a big recruiting factor that, you know, there was a Spanish immersion, French immersion, Mandarin. Those programs are a great tool for the county to be able to recruit professionals like myself and my wife and others to come to the county, you know, paying taxes, buying property, paying property taxes. So when you're looking at funding, look at ways that you can recruit other professionals like myself, like my wife, and others here today presented that can help fund the school system. Right? Cutting back on our education in this county and the language immersion program limits the county from getting access to high-paying professionals that could buy the homes, pay their property taxes, pay for the school needs, and recruit professional teachers that we have to compete. We have to compete with Northern Virginia. We have to compete with the District of Columbia, and so on, for very well educated and inspiring teachers. So we can't be looking at just cutting back and cutting back and cutting back. I understand that the county executives did not approve the budget. And again, as another previous speaker stated, we will make our voices heard loud and clear when it's election time, all right? But we need your assistance to cut the bloat that I'm hearing and we see that's probably from the executives up the chain, and spend it more on where it really matters. On the two little ones that you just heard today, there's a lot more of them that are in our school system that are very bright, right? They just need the resources, they need your funding, and I ask you to please kindly consider that. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you. We have one more name that we called earlier at the beginning, Sheena Washington. Is she here? Great. Thank you. Okay, so once again, that concludes our public hearing on the FY 2018 operating budget. We will, once again, I mentioned it earlier, but again, we will be here again June the 22nd at 2017 to, on our, to approve the budget at a public board meeting. So please join us then. I think that time, I was trying to find the time on here, 7 o'clock. Great, thank you. Have a good night.